We are anonymous. We have taken over your computer. With the information gained from recent hacks, we now have access to all of your files. We have access to all of your data. We have access to all of your money. There's nothing you can do. We can't be stopped. Right now, we're funneling money from your accounts and using them for our goals. We are the new future. Join or be left in the wayside. We are anonymous, and you are ours.
Wow. Can you imagine if that were real? I filmed it and it freaked me out. The film may not be real, but the threat is. Right now, out there in the world, someone most likely has everything they need to create a new you. I'm not talking about DNA and organs or anything quite as nasty as that. I'm talking about your social security number, your address, your medical history, your family's names, and so much more. Today, I'm going to give you a tool that will dramatically reduce the impact that criminals can have on you and your family's finances. It's called a credit freeze. Now, credit is an essential function in this modern hyper-connected world. So many of us use our credit or debit cards as our main means of paying for things, whether you're in person at a store or online at places such as Amazon. What if that power was suddenly taken away from you? So, why should you listen to me? Who am I? Well, I've trained extensively in cybersecurity, including penetration testing, social engineering, and I also hold a Security Plus from CompTIA. What does all that mean? It means that I have the tools to do what the bad guys do, but I use them to protect you. Now, we're going to learn first about how widespread this issue is. And then next we're going to find out what they can actually do with that information. What can the bad guys do with that info? It's actually pretty chilling what they can do. And finally, we're going to take a look at some tools, including the credit freeze, that we can use to secure our family's future financially. Now, I know it sounds a little complex, but stay with me and you'll learn a great tool that's going to protect you and your family. Personal data theft is rampant. Let's take a look at some of the facts. According to the Pew Research Center, 64% of Americans have been affected by some type of data theft. The IRS states in March of 2016 that over 42,000 fraudulent returns were filed for a total of $227 million in fraudulently claimed money. Now, to be fair, the IRS caught a lot of that. Over $180 million of that was returned rightfully to the people. But that still leaves $45 million worth of fraudulent claims out there. That's still a lot of money, particularly for those people who are in the $45 million category. And of course, we're all familiar with that Equifax breach, where an estimated 143 million Americans were affected, and upwards of 182,000 people lost personally identifiable information. Now, what is that? Social security number, addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, things like that. Now, when you take that into account, that means 44% of the U.S. population was affected by this breach. 44%. Now, interestingly, that includes children. So if you take the children out, the number actually goes to 57% of all Americans were affected. Now, if you're in the room with somebody else, take a look at that person, because one of you was affected by this credit breach. So that's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of data. What does that mean? What do those numbers mean to you specifically? Let's see how our data is being stolen and what information can be used for. Now, should we care that it's all just floating out there? What can they do with it? Well, we learned already that with a stolen Social Security card, you can create a fraudulent IRS return. We learned that. Thieves can also use this information to create new credit cards in your names. They go out, purchase goods and services, usually online, and you get the bill. Some thieves have gone as far as to take your Social Security number and medical information and impersonate you. They have a medical procedure done, and then they charge your insurance company. It's not good. But what can you do about it? Can you do something about it? Absolutely. Absolutely you can. Here are a few steps you can do, including our final step with the credit freeze. One thing you can do to keep your personal data online personal is regularly change your passwords. Now, if you're like I used to be, you had about one password for every single account, and it was really cool and interesting, such as I love tacos, and maybe you got really clever and you changed a 3 and a less than sign to be a heart sideways. Bravo. No one will ever guess that. However, not so fast. It's actually fairly easy to guess. So regularly change those passwords. If you have trouble remembering them, try things such as a password storage system. There are many ones online. They're very good. You can also write them down in a book. Don't store them online. Now, don't leave that book out where anybody can get to it. But it's a great way to store your passwords. Now, you should also think about your social media accounts. Social media accounts have privacy settings. I encourage you to set those accounts to the highest level. Make sure that your friends online are the only ones that can see anything. And regularly take a look at your friends list and say, is that person really my friend? Or is that guy that I met at a party 3 years ago who happened to get my Facebook information really trustworthy? I bet your answer is no. And when you're shopping online, try not to save your credit card information. Many places will offer you the chance to enter your credit card and then delete it. It's a good idea. When shopping online, if you save your credit card information while it's convenient for you, what you may find is that once that company gets breached, your information's out in the wild. Now, speaking of credit, what can we actually do to protect our credit? Well, there are a few things as well. Credit monitoring. Now, a lot of people will suggest credit monitoring. In fact, the major bureaus suggest credit monitoring right away. However, credit monitoring can only help you once you've actually been breached, after they've charged something to your name. Now, granted, you won't be charged for that. However, the damage is already done, and you're doing a lot of cleanup afterwards. It's like offering hurricane insurance for you after the hurricane hit. Really not that helpful. You can get a free credit report each year. Now, I recommend this. Go to annualcreditreport.com. That's the only place you're going to get one for free. Places will try to charge you for it. Don't be suckered in. Check your credit report. Make sure that charges and transactions on there are actually ones that you've made. Check your data regularly. Make sure that that information is correct. You'd be amazed that occasionally you'll find somebody with a similar name has charged something and it's going to your credit report. And finally, the crux of the matter, the credit freeze. What is a credit freeze? It's exactly that. You take your credit and freeze it. Now here's how credit works. You go to buy a car. You go to the dealership, whatever it may be, and you have them check your credit. They contact one of the big bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and they say, is this person's credit worthy? Should we give them money so that way they can purchase this car? Now the credit bureau doesn't have to contact you to give them this information. They assume that this company is calling on your behalf and give them the information regardless. Now that's great if you're at the dealership, but let's say that you're not. Let's say that I am, and I'm pretending to be you. Now I've got that credit information and I'm going to use it to get a car. However, I'm not going to pay the bill. You are. So, what a credit freeze does is simply this. A credit freeze stops that transaction halfway through and forces the credit bureau to contact you to make sure that that's actually you on the other end of that credit. Now they can call you, or you can call them, and you give them a PIN number. That information gets to them, and they release that credit for you. That ensures that nobody who isn't you is going to go into the Ferrari dealership, get that beautiful Ferrari, and drive it off the lot, and stick you with a multi-million-dollar bill. Now it's relatively simple to do. Go to one of the 3 major websites, and there's a credit freeze right on there. I encourage you to search for it. Now currently, all the bureaus have a charge for this credit freeze. It's fairly small, about $10. Now $10 is actually what I would consider a small amount compared to the hundreds of thousands of dollars you may be liable for that Ferrari. And thankfully there's a bill in Congress right now going through where that $10 fee may actually be removed. So it seems like for as little as $30, you can keep your credit safe from would-be attackers. I'm so confident that you should do this that I'm willing to help you. After you watch this, if you need to freeze your credit, contact me. I will walk you through the process. I will help you do it. That's how important it is. I've already done it. You should do it. It's going to keep your family safe, keep your financial future safe, and it's going to give you a good peace of mind. Thank you. Have a good night.